World Agreement. We violated all those treaties, and we've had military satellites. We've had military. Oh hell, we've even had astronauts up there that never got into the front pages of the newspapers. The stuff that goes out of Cape Kennedy or Cape Canaveral is on the front page. The stuff going out of Vandenberg Air Force Base never gets on the news.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. You're on the Lou Gentile Show. Who am I speaking with?
This is Matt.
Yes, Matt. What's your question?
Oh, a question for him. Okay, now during Roswell, I heard that a lot of this stuff was sent to Wright Pat. Can you confirm this, or
Well, yeah, that was the facility there, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be known as the Foreign Technology Division there.
Okay, yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
And then they turned it into the Alien Technology Division. And then that name got a few people's attention, and people began asking the wrong questions, and so they turned it back to Foreign Technology Division again. But there apparently have been a number of laboratories at Wright-Patterson over the years, and one of the stories that apparently is quite legitimate is that we not only sent hardware there, but we sent bodies there. And that's apparently where they did a lot of the research. But we've collected so damn much hardware over the years that the hangar at Wright-Patterson couldn't hold it all. So we sent some of it off to different places. Some of it off to Groom Lake.
Okay, now I have something else to ask you here. Okay, now, let's say if we do get a hearing in Congress, what's that going to do? Because, they will play, say, oh, no, we don't have that stuff, and it's going to be, just guessing and a lot of, just putting people down. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, let me explain one of the things that the group that I was involved with, the group I represented, was trying to do. We wanted to have a hearing in Congress, and we said to some of the guys, we said to members of the House and members of the Senate, I talked to my two senators from Arizona. I says, you guys can hold hearings any damn time you want. You can create a committee. You can hold a hearing. You can, what the hell is the word? You can give people, you can grant congressional immunity to people for violating their national security oath. You can also subpoena witnesses, and you have tremendous power if you would simply use it. An open hearing, subpoena witnesses, and grant immunity. And I says, that's all we're asking. And if you can do that, I can fill your damn conference room with about 100 different people from all services, active and retired, who will blow your mind on the greatest story in human history. Guys who want to talk about it, guys who would like to share what they've seen and what they've learned. And that includes astronauts.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is have a committee, hold a hearing, grant immunity for public, for disclosing, and you can subpoena people. And I was even in a position to offer them 50 names of people that they could subpoena. Now, that involved 4-star generals and admirals who, if they were under oath and subpoenaed by the Congressional Committee, would be required to tell the truth. Well, they don't want to do that. They don't want this to come out right now.
Yeah.
It's still too damned big. They're afraid of what will happen if the truth begins to come out, because it will indeed be disruptive, as the Brookings report said in 1961.
Mm-hmm. It's probably going to crash the economy, and it's a lot of people is more like it's going to really affect everyone in the world. It's not going.
It will. I agree with you. It'll affect the whole world. It will not only affect the economy, but one of the Brookings studies indicated that there will be a very pronounced theological implication there. There's going to be some earth-shaking knowledge coming out that's going to really rattle a few cages all over the world in theological sense.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want that to happen right now. They're not ready for it. Look, they got their hands full with this mess in Iraq. So it's not going to be any time soon, I'm afraid, where we're going to have open hearings on this subject.
Yeah, it's too bad, though.
It is too bad, because, as I said earlier, the people not only have a right to know, they have a need to know.
Yep. Well, thank you again for, taking my my call.
Thank you.
Leave it in.
All right. Have a good
Thanks.
night.
Bye.
Bye. 1-800-594-9270. That's 1-800-594-9270. And we're talking about Roswell, UFOs, and government deception with Bob Dean, retired commander or command sergeant major, ufologist, researcher, and lecturer. Now, have you ever heard of the Montauk Project?
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it, Lou. I don't know that much about it. I know this, that there was a pretty good-sized facility there many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard rumors that it was tied in with the Philadelphia experiment somehow. But other than that, I've had no first-hand knowledge.
Well, I mean, some of the things that we talked about earlier, as far as these particular beings being interdimensional, and the interdimensional traveling and whatnot, kind of fit in the Montauk perspective.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, and that intrigued me. I was kind of curious about that.
Mm-hmm.
These guys have shown up, for example, I don't know whether any of you watch any of the Star Trek movies and some of that stuff at all.
Oh, yeah.
Some of it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
But some of these beings have appeared in the middle of people's rooms, in their living room, and in their offices, literally, in a beam of light. That all of a sudden there is a bright light in the middle of the room and a lot of, I don't know whether static or whatever, but the next thing you know, you got a person standing there looking right at you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that indicates, at least to a few people, that they are interdimensional travelers. Now, maybe it's merely that, they've got the same thing that Star Trek talks about beam me down, Scotty, or beam me up, Scotty, or whatever. But they end up showing up sometimes.
Hey, you have to wonder where maybe they got that idea for Star Trek.
Yeah, I suspect that a lot of the stuff on Star Trek just didn't come out of their imagination.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. You're on the Lou Gentile Show. Who am I speaking with?
Hello, this is Dave.
Yes, Dave, and what's your question?
I'd like to ask Mr. Dean if you could be more specific on the theological repercussions of disclosure.
Well, I'll give you the benefit of my 40 years of research, and that's all it is, I've studied the Brookings report, and I've read what it has to say and how it made it very clear that the release of this kind of information could have definitely a theological implication. And over the years, I've dug into that, and I've learned that there is a great deal of evidence, an enormous amount of evidence that's been collected over the years by individual researchers all over the planet, which lead to the idea that not only has every major religion on the planet been orchestrated by some of those guys from up there, but if you were to tell the Christian world, for example, that beautiful young man in Galilee 2,000 years ago was part of a vast, infinite, extraterrestrial educational program for human beings, how many people would accept that? I mean, how many fundamentalists do you know out there that would let you get that out of your mouth without beating the hell out of you? That's why I'm trying to say that there are implications not only in Christianity, but in Islam, Hinduism, Judaism as well, that every major religious event in human history has been orchestrated by an advanced intelligence, which basically had a benevolent intent. This whole concept of teaching, that the great teachers of the world, whether they were Muhammad or whether they were Krishna or whether they were Jesus of Nazareth or whether they were Moses, every great human teacher in history has said essentially the same thing.